in politics, in media, corporate leadership. People reach high levels of visibility, and all of a sudden, something starts to collapse internally. What actually breaks people is. Have you ever come across one of those people that say that they love 100% of their job? I mean, give me one of those and I will give you a liar. Nobody loves 100% of what they do. They might love their job, that's fine. Most of us do, that's why we do it. But there's that portion of people that go on pretending that success means full alignment with everything they do. And it doesn't, because at some point you realize that you're not just doing a job, you're operating inside a role that comes with contradictions. And those contradictions can quickly become bigger issues that turn into psychological challenges on your daily performance. We see it every day with people who triumph in the public eye but then collapse in private. You see it, in Hollywood or in the scandals of disgraced executives. It is just all around us. People who break down and then everybody blames it on overwork or burnout. But that is not the full story. What actually breaks people is internal fragmentation, when what you think and what you say slowly drift apart. And we see this everywhere. Politics, media, corporate leadership. Come on, people reach high levels of visibility, and sometimes all of a sudden something just collapses internally. Not because they're not capable, that is not the reason. It is because they were never taught how to stay internally aligned under external pressure. And that gap is what nobody is talking about. In high pressure environments, one thing becomes clear very quickly. People don't operate as individuals, even when you're not the public face of the organization that you work for. When you speak on behalf of that organization, there's always a gap between what you personally think and what your role requires you to communicate. And that gap is not just professional, it is psychological. Because in real time, you are holding multiple layers, right? What is happening externally, what the institution represents, what the public perceives, or it might be a coworker, what they perceive, and what you personally feel. Sometimes they align, and when that happens, you want to, perform the job, go above and beyond, hallelujah, but sometimes they don't. And still, you have to speak clearly, you have to perform accurately. That is the pressure, not disagreement, responsibility under uncertainty. And if you don't learn how to process that internally, it builds up quietly until it starts shaping how you think, how you speak, and eventually, of course, how you see yourself and how you behave. So let's say, for instance, that you work for an organization and that you agree with 99% or 98% of what they do, but there's that 2% that it just eats you inside and you just cannot agree with. Well, you have to realize that those type of contradictions require discipline. You have to discipline yourself without betraying, of course, your values and principles, and separate personal emotion from institutional responsibility in real time. And believe me, that sort of conflict can happen in any job, just in different ways. Therefore, it is important to find common ground as a tactic, because when you use common ground as a tactic, it will help you tremendously. In any case, that separation of personal emotion and institutional responsibility has to be trained. It's not just about communication, it's about internal stability, because you can only operate in high pressure level environments if you stay grounded while being operationally clear. Otherwise, success pulls you apart instead of building you. That's why you see it. Burnout, collapse, breakdown. Not because people are weak. People are usually pretty resilient, but because they never learn how to hold competing versions of the truth. So the real discipline here is internal alignment under external pressure. And that applies far beyond politics and media. Like I said before, it applies anywhere you carry responsibility beyond yourself. Because at some point, every person has to ask themselves, Can I stay myself inside this system? And if the answer is yes, it requires work, not once, but continuously. So remember this. You don't have to choose between being human and being professional, but you do have to do the internal work to hold both. And when you do, you stop being shaped by the system and you learn how to move inside it without losing yourself.